guys, it's Devin and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a break from our regular hair and beauty content to talk a little bit about homeschooling this year. So for those of you that don't know, I am a homeschooling mom. I'm sure a lot of us mamas here now during quarantine and with going back to school are thinking about the virtual learning, what it's like for everyone to go back to school, what it's going to be like for our kids, should we homeschool? So I just wanted to throw this out there to show you guys what I'm doing, what I'm using this year for my first grader, and yeah, see what you think, just to share with you a little bit of encouragement as well as maybe some ideas. Because I know some mamas are really nervous about, especially smaller kids with virtual learning, if they do okay with that. Every kid is different. The video is just meant for ideas, show you guys what I'm doing and what I'm using if you're thinking about homeschooling this year instead of virtual learning or instead of doing homeschool through the school. These are some ideas for you. I hear lots of different comments from different parents about how they didn't enjoy homeschooling, they're not liking homeschooling, they're not looking forward to homeschooling, they would never homeschool. And I just wanted to share a little bit of something with you guys, a little bit of an opinion, is there is a big difference between quarantine school and between homeschool, normal homeschooling families. And this is not at all to sound judgmental at all, and not saying that it wasn't hard or that, and hear me out. The reason why I say this is quarantine school was a lot of online virtual learning, was a lot of workbooks you were getting from your teachers and such. You were thrown into this. It wasn't a plan or an idea. Your kids were thrown into it unplanned. It was a very stressful time during quarantine. That's not usually what homeschooling, regular homeschooling families are doing. When I decided to homeschool for kindergarten last year, before all of this even happened, it takes a lot of forethought, a lot of planning, a lot of deciding on curriculums that I think would work really good with my kid, a lot of adjusting. It's a lot of work, you guys. It's a lot of work. And not saying that you guys didn't do a lot of work, but what I'm saying is usually with homeschooling families, we've like handpicked all this curriculum specifically for our kiddo. And we do fun field trips, and we're going out of the house, we're doing library meetups, we're doing field trips with other homeschool families. So this was hard for us too during quarantine. It wasn't our usual thing. And I think a lot of people being locked in lockdown and having to homeschool their kids felt that that was what homeschool is, and homeschool is terrible. But homeschool isn't terrible, it's really awesome. That's all this is meant to say. Homeschooling normally is usually a lot more fun than what you guys had to deal with during quarantine. So just wanted to throw that out there. I don't want people to have a bad taste in their mouth of what homeschooling is, because that really isn't what homeschooling is. And I think that narrative has been thrown around a lot, and I see a lot of it on Facebook. Or people making comments like, oh, homeschooling is terrible, I would never do that, this is so stressful, this is awful, and it's not like that. So that's all I wanted to say. Anyway, let's go into my curriculum and what I picked for this year. This was a lot of thinking and research trying to figure out what would work best for this year, because kindergarten is a lot easier because it's not required to do quarterly reports and such things usually for kindergarten. And then you don't really have to say what you're doing, what you're using. And first grade, at least in my state, is where it gets a little bit more serious. So let's get started. This is what I'm using. So for English and language arts, Cullen is starting first grade. So far, he is doing decent with his reading. That seems to be for him his hardest thing. He had a speech delay, so it seems like the language arts, the reading, the writing, those things are all like a little bit more slow moving than like his science and math, which he excels in and loves. So I bought the Easy Peasy, I know, I don't really like that name, Easy Peasy language arts curriculum for, well, it's not for first grade, but it's book 1. So it comes with the parent guide and the work, and it's 1 lesson a day. It's pre-planned for you, the lesson, what you're going to read, what you're going to do, the workbook pages that you do, because it is, in fact, easy peasy. So Easy Peasy is what we're going to be using for language arts. You do not have to buy the workbooks. Easy Peasy has an entire online guide that you can do, but I'm more of a paper and pen person. I like to have something. So I bought the workbooks, and they were super reasonable. I'll leave it down in the description box below. I found it on Amazon. That's where I purchased mine from. And what I'm going to use along with that is Bob's Books. Now this is the one that we completed this year. We probably have 3 more books left, but I'm going to continue to do those with Cullen too for reading practice as well, and we do use some apps for language arts and reading to kind of break it up as well. I like the Homer app a lot. If you guys would like me to do a schedule of how often we're doing what, when we're doing what, all the supplemental kind of app stuff, let me know in the comment section below, because I will do that. Otherwise, there would be a lot of information for me to cover today. So, handwriting. We're going to be doing the Handwriting Without Tears, my printing book. This is for 1st grade. I am almost finished with his kindergarten one now, and I'm probably going to go through this pretty fast because the kindergarten one I bought halfway through the year because I didn't like the handwriting one that we had been using. So that one I finished pretty fast. So I imagine we'll finish this one within half the year, and then I'll buy the next one after that. And he does 1 to 2 pages a day depending on the difficulty level or his attitude for that day, because handwriting again is something that he struggles with. But these have been helping a lot. His kindergarten one, I've noticed a huge difference in his handwriting from the beginning to the end. Lots of copy work, very simple, breaks it down, super simple. So I have really liked these books. So that's language arts, that's handwriting. History, I bought the Story of the World curriculum after doing lots of research. So it comes with a book and then a student parent guide. So this has all of the scheduling in it, as well as all of the, in the back, all the workbook pages that you're going to be using. So I do think I'm probably going to get this one spiral bound so that I can make copies and stuff of the workbook pages so that I can reuse this book. So Story of the World, that's what we're going to be using for history. Now for math, bought The Life of Fred. So The Life of Fred, it's probably going to be 1 lesson at a time. It's math in an easier form. It kind of is story-based, like a Montessori type math. So every chapter is like you read a story about Fred, and then it gives you a lesson and some your turn to play and problems to do. So I imagine I'll go through 2 of these books in a year. So there's this one, the apples, is the lesson 1, and then after that one I believe it's the butterfly. So this is probably 1 lesson a week or so in order to do the 2 books in a year, and I didn't think that was enough for math, so I'm going to do that, as well as I purchased the big math 1 through 1st through 2nd grade, and we're going to be doing one of these sheets every day as well. And I also like the Splash Math app just to kind of see as he's moving along progress and have it all tallied there on Splash Math as well. So that's what we're going to be doing for math. Cullen loves math. He's good at math. I have a few math games that I purchased as well. I'll do a separate video on that and what games I'm interested in, but I definitely want to focus on him learning money and counting money and understanding change and all that. So I bought a game called Money Bags, and we've actually played with it a few times already, and he's really been enjoying that. So I'm going to be adding some more games to our repertoire as well, but I'm still researching and figuring out which one I think would be best. And as for science, we're doing our science with unit studies. So just going to kind of go with the flow and how long it's taking us to do it. So I recently started following Tori from, I'm going to say this wrong, Oglesby Ohana YouTube channel. I'm going to post her down below. She has a lot of awesome homeschool content. I love her videos, but she's a kind of a similar way of teaching as I do. I kind of like to go with the flow and go at our own pace and kind of add our own things along the way. Not unschooling, but just being flexible and kind of eclectic in how we teach. And I am going to be using this book, The Magic Mystery of Trees. She talked about this. She talked about how much she loved it, and they did a whole unit study on trees. So this is from DK Publishing. They have a lot of awesome books on their site. And we're just going to be going through this book, you guys. We're going to be going through this book. We're going to be talking about trees and roots and the parts of trees, the different kind of trees and forests and animals and seeds and all of that. And I'm going to be kind of putting together my own unit study using this as well as different reference books that we have and information and activities I can find on Pinterest. We also belong to KiwiCo, and every month we get a different science subscription box, so Cullen loves those, and we're going to have fun with that as well. And a big thing for me in homeschool, something we love to do, is read aloud times. We're currently reading The Secret Zoo. I don't know what's going to be our next book by the time school starts, But read aloud time is huge in our homeschool. We've gone through 5 different chapter books this year because again, we do it kind of slowly. But we love that, and we use that also for building our vocabulary, different questions that we ask, different information that we dive into. That's kind of our morning routine. If you guys are interested in what kind of read alouds we've used and different apps that we use, games that we play, leave that in the comment section below. I haven't done tons of homeschooling content on my channel, but because that's something that we're really diving into this year in first grade, let me know if you guys are interested in that kind of content. But that's what I'm using. That's this year's curriculum for 2020-2021. Let me know what you guys are doing for school, what curriculum you're loving, maybe some things that I should add as well, and I will see you guys next time.